Innervate needs a wild growth. Really wants to get the pressure and the tempo set.
Yeah, I think the most important card in Kolento's hand right now, even though he might not have it, is the coin. Coin matters so much in this matchup. It allows Savitz to be able to combo so many things that, wow, double Innervate.
Nice start here for Kolento. This might, I mean, this is definitely the makings of an opening that can win the game very easily.
But at the same time, Savitz, I feel like, has one of the most important cards that you could start off with as well, which is the Violet Teacher. As we mentioned before, Violet Teacher is a card that if you're against Druid, you play that card on turn 4, perhaps prepare some spells along with the Violet Teacher, and then you force the Druid player to have a swipe in order to deal with it.
Yeah, the 1/1 tokens can quickly get out of hand. And with preparation and Eviscerate, I think he's feeling pretty safe this game, but this turn 1 Shade is definitely a potential problem. He's just going to go straight for the aggro here, too. I love it. Just get that dagger out of here, disrupt his mana, pick up 2 cards from this. I cannot think of a better turn for Kolento than this Harrison Jones on 2 here. Picks up Sludge Belcher and Azure Drake. So his curve is not going to be too great for the next couple of turns, but he has a tremendous presence on the board right now. And Savitz does not want to use this Eviscerate quite yet. So he's going to eat some damage here. And another 5-drop for Kolento. That's not what he wanted to see. I think Wild Growth is probably one of his best draws there.
Oh yeah, definitely. Wild Growth or another Shade. He's already used both Innervates, so Innervating out a 5-drop wouldn't have been a possibility. So basically not too many draws that Kolento could have gotten, so this is not too unlucky for him in this circumstance.
Yeah, I would love to, yeah, keeping the Shade hidden here is so important too. You're not really vulnerable to anything at this point. So Harrison going to get dealt with, and there's no Wrath on Kolento's side of the board, but this might be a turn where you end up seeing the Shade come out just to deal with his Violet Teacher and keep things under control.
Yeah, the Violet Teacher is so important that if you don't have a swipe, I think you just essentially have to reveal the Shade now.
Yep. So I imagine he's going to be Wrathing first to pick up a card.
Do you think he could also value putting out his second Shade earlier instead of using his entire mana to clear the 1/1s?
It's definitely possible. You know, another possibility too is he's not going to take this line, but another possibility is just Wrathing the Violet Teacher twice and keeping the Shade hidden. Oh, and there's Swipe. So now that he's drawn this Swipe, he actually may keep his Shade hidden again, but I still think I'd like to see him unveil it. Yeah, okay, he's going to go for it. So it's not vulnerable to backstab. It is to Deadly Poison, though.
Yeah, what an excellent draw. If Savitz hadn't drawn that Deadly Poison, he would have been almost forced to use his Blade Flurry on a 5/2 Shade.
Yeah, that's not a position you want to be in. Just so much damage you'd have to take and then ruin your dagger. And daggers are just getting destroyed this match. Nobody likes daggers.
Yeah, we saw in the reverse matchup, Savitz also got a Harrison Jones at a 2/1 dagger. Definitely, dagger's not the best weapon. They all belong in museums.
I wonder how many weapons in museums. That's an infographic I want to see.
Yeah, we saw a lot of people were requesting that on Twitter in the next infographic recently.
So another not clean turn here from Kolento. His opening was so explosive. And Savitz is almost out of cards, though, so if Kolento can stabilize past this point, I think he's primed.
Yeah, if Kolento can stabilize and Savitz doesn't draw something like a Sprint or Azure Drake, then I think Kolento will just run away with this game. But it all depends.
Oh, wow, that is a huge draw right now. We saw Kolento draw Sprint on turn 7 earlier, and it wasn't enough. And this Sprint, these are four I would consider relatively mediocre pickups at this point. And it's just so desperate to keep damage from going to his face because he's at a low life total and Kolento's heading into these end turns that he's just going to go ahead and trade away here.
Yeah, with the trades that Kolento decided to, or rather that Savitz decided to make, he essentially forces Dr. Boom not to be played on turn 7. This one attack Lotheb is just so juicy that you really need to hero power it or wrath it, I feel.
Yeah. Would you tend to favor Wrath here or Hero Power? I mean, he's at 31 right now, and the Hero Power would take him to 32, so he can take effectively 3 damage to clear the Lotheb, or he can use Wrath and pick up a card. He could also even swipe and develop Shade, and which I don't really know which one of these is best. I think I would tend to Hero Power here, so that way you can keep the board under control, because your opponent just drew 4 cards, so if they play 2 3/3s this turn, you might see something be able to start developing.
Yeah, I would agree with you as well. I think the Wrath is so valuable in this matchup to deal with all the 3/3s. Plus, you're at an extremely high health, but Klento opts to go for the Wrath, I see.
Yeah, 2 swipes, I think, is influencing that a lot. If he didn't have 2 swipes, I think he probably would end up saving this.
Ooh, prep is really good.
Yeah, these are some potentially really big turns here from Savitz. Do you think he's just going to prep sprint again?
Yeah, just judging by his hand, he has nothing better to do now. Prep sprint, hopefully draw something like a backstab and then, or something like an eviscerate, and then he'll be able to clear the board.
He's going to be looking at yielding initiative over to Kolento again too, so he definitely needs to find a lot of options to get this board cleared.
Oh wow, okay, this is another way to clear the board.
Yeah, this is the one that I wasn't really expecting as much because it kind of... You know what? This actually makes a lot of sense now that I'm looking at it. He's going to go to 15 exactly from this, and he's got an anti-heal bot. And again, sort of in the same vein, he's trying to prevent Dr. Boom from getting played. So if he continues to present these minor problems for Kolento, these 5-1 minions that he has to deal with, it's going to keep him from playing stuff like Dr. Boom, which is exactly what his goal is. Unfortunately for him, Kolento's got 2 swipes, so he's able to put a lot of pressure on him at the same time. And, oh gosh, this is still looking brutal. Does he have to prep this eviscerate?
Oh man.
I mean, how much more damage can you afford to take?
If you prep the eviscerate right now, then that probably means Sprint is going to have an awfully hard time ever coming onto the board. So Savitz has to think, if I just use the prep for the eviscerate, then can I win the game with just these cards right now, plus 1 card I'll draw every turn?
Right, because if he goes to 19 from Antique Healbot and doesn't deal with this piloted Shredder, he's looking at potential lethal next turn from Force Nature and Savage Roar. So that's what it's going through his head right now. That's why he's choosing to prep this sprint. Gets a Vitality Totem, I think, is fantastic for him, by the way.
Yeah, Vitality Totem just puts him out of lethal range, out of anything that he could do.
Yeah.
And he'll be able to even buff it up with Savage Roar in coming turns.
So still putting pressure on the Vitality Totem, though. I'm curious exactly how Kolento proceeds from here, because now he's looking at 2-3. Like, this is the kind of situation we were talking about when 2-3-3s get on the board, and then he's looking at a minor problem for this point, because this is where Rogue is able to keep initiative and clear what's happening. This is the situation he was quite literally trying to avoid, and Vitality Totem is kind of, it's biting him a little bit in that respect. It's something that definitely has to be dealt with, but Savitz has time to deal with it.
You know, I was saying that Sprint might not see effects coming out in the Rogue's hand, but now because Savitz has both a Blade Flurry and a Sprint, which effectively acts like a quality Consecrate board clear, and actually you might see a pretty good turn from Savitz even utilizing the prep.
I think he's going to have to this turn. So I imagine he's going to clear out this Vitality Totem. I'm sorry, he's not going to clear out the Blade. He's going to be, what am I talking about? He's going to be Blade Flurrying this turn. So Sprint's going to come out first. Let's see what he picks up. Sap is not a good target for on Dr. Boom.
Yeah, I don't think you ever want to sap a Dr. Boom usually, because you're just essentially giving him more boom bots, correct?
So now the question is, does he want to use cards to clear this Dr. Boom and try to keep his 3/3s? Or does he want to move forward from there? This board's going to have to get cleared this turn. That's the one thing that's not in question.
I think you maybe don't value the 3/3s as much because you don't have the Tinker's Sharp Sword Oil in your hand right now. So you maybe don't want to value the board control as much. But I just feel like Rogue is a class that they need board control to finish the game off. And there's no guarantee that the 3/3s will even survive if you expend all your spells to clear Dr. Boom.
This is another really unforeseen sort of thing that Dr. Boom presents, is that even when you clear it, it's yielding initiative to your opponent, which is like basically the entire game is trying to get initiative and find favorable trades. So these boombots really mattering a lot, and they clear out the 3/3, put 2 points of damage into his face. So he's not in lethal range right now, but Kolento's got a pretty great turn here with Ancient Allure and Shade and X Ramus. This is going to reload his hand, dig him further to Savage Roar, and put 2 threats on the board. And this is like almost exactly the situation that Savitz is trying to avoid now.
Yeah, not only does Kolento develop the board, but now Savitz knows, hey, I'm probably going to get Force of Nature Savage Roar next turn. So I don't see many options for Savitz, if there's any options at all.
Yep.
He has to just basically hope there's no combo and just play the game from there, hoping he gets some insanely nice draws.
I would tend to agree with you too. But there's just swipes sitting in Kolento's hand too, so everything just being answered from Savitz, despite the fact that he's able to have applied a lot of pressure at this point. Kalento's just got the answers.
Yeah, Savitz is 1 damage off from a really good turn, though. He can't really clear both the Shade of Naxxramas and the Ancient of Lore, unfortunately.
Yep. Making sure he takes out the Shade. And no direct answer to this Ancient Lore, so 5 points of damage. Going to be crashing in here. Is this lethal? Hang on. 11. He's got 15 points of damage. He's 1 damage off lethal this turn.
If he had something like an Innervate, that would be lethal, but...
Yep.
I think Kolento can definitely afford to play this game fairly slowly right now.
I agree with you.
Maybe even, swipe, maybe even play the Keeper of the Grove or charge the, oh, he's going to play it even slower. He's going to Wild Growth.
Yeah, so Wild Growth is going to let him see 1 more card just in case it gives him extra options.
Yeah, I think with this play, he may consider just swiping and play Keeper of the Grove.
That was 1 card away from being lethal this turn, so I don't actually know if Savitz can get out of this one. 5, 9. Again, 1 damage off lethal even with charge in the Savage Roar, so he's going to swipe here. And I imagine this is going to be Keeper of the Grove just to get extra presence on the board. He just wants to apply maximum pressure. And from this point, I think it's close to impossible for Savitz to actually get back into this game. He just doesn't have the tools available.
Yeah, he also doesn't just have the heals available, and he's used his Loatheb, so no way to prevent the lethal combo. Savitz, he's seen Kolento drawn like 20 or so cards in his deck, so again, he must know that Kolento does have the Savage Roar Force of Nature combo, and again, he can't play around it at all.
Just no viable options. And that's gonna do. All right, that's gonna do this game 3. Kolento's finally gonna get on the board here, 2 games to 1. And so his Druid deck's going to be locked, and Savitz has got 2 more chances with this Rogue deck to pull off a win. He's going to have to do it either versus Rogue or versus Hunter. And I think the Face Hunter matchup, he's got Antique Healbot, so I think it's a little bit better for him. But it's still going to be an uphill battle for him. And I'm just going to go charge. He doesn't want to reveal it, Force of Nature. Not that Savitz doesn't know he has it. Again, when you cap, a lot of players have been trimming with Force of Nature, so when